As Marshall investigates the new threat, he's shocked to find it closer to home than he ever could have imagined. And as if that wasn't enough, look, up in the sky. It's a vampire. It's a werewolf. It's Bludmoon from Rogue Sun? What's he doing here? Reading Black, issue number 33 from Image Comics. That solicitation is somewhat of a lie, or at least it's very clickbaity about the whole threat closer to home. But we do have Bludmoon in this issue. So we start off this issue with Marshall having a get together with Nathan's mom, and just Marshall is kind of almost using her as a therapist, where he's just kind of talking about having to juggle his life of being Radiant Black and how there's just so much chaos and things that he has to handle, and that sometimes he just wants to roll over and die because it's just too exhausting. And Nathan's mom basically says that when Henry died and Nathan went back to California, I sat in it. Then one morning, I looked around and said, Helen, today you're going to get your butt out that door and do something, anything. So she joined a swim class. So basically, just get out there and do stuff. Like, do things to take your mind off of things. And that seems to pick up Marshall for a bit, and he decides to go celebrate Easter with his mom. And he arrives, and his mom seems very put together. Like, she seems like a completely different person. She hugs him, says it's such a blessing to have you home. And then we understand that she's very religious. And it's basically a religion that's created by mixing the catalysts with Christianity. Marshall's about to talk to her when she cuts him off with a prayer in Jesus' name. And then she starts talking about how there are angels among us, and the heavenly hosts are guardian angels, the catalysts. And she basically talks about how there are his four archangels, the fallen who turned against him, led by the great betrayer. But the light shines into the black, and the black will not overcome it. So she believes that Radiant Black is the Antichrist, and that catalysts are God's angels. So yeah, very much believes that Radiant Black is evil. And she gets all this information from online sources, and how throughout the years it's been terrible in this city. The economy is in the crapper, everyone hates each other, but there is hope. There is hope that they'll come back once Radiant Black is gone. So once Radiant Black is gone, aka dead, then the catalysts, God's angels, will show up and make everything better. And then we cut to Marshall at his apartment with Ava, and he's just kind of unloading on her, just talking about how it's called the Second Earth. Somehow they know there's a different timeline, but they think it's still there, and they think it might be heaven or hell, or I don't know. But that Marshall's secretly Radiant Black from over there who killed hundreds of thousands of people. So things that we've talked about in previous videos. And then Ava is just talking about how she doesn't really care because her new girlfriend is still over there. By over there, I mean in Paris. And that's when Marshall gets a message about a Mothman sighting. And then Marshall decides to start putting on like deodorants and mouthwash and stuff. And he heads out to go take out Mothman. And then Ava just continues chatting on her phone. And all I can think about is, Ava, you're radiant pink. Maybe, I don't know, help? This is the one thing I don't really care about with the Radiant Black series, is that it feels like the Radiants don't ever help each other out. Now, I'm not going to say they never do, because they have, but it feels very rare. And I'm just kind of wondering, like, what is the whole point of having a Radiant group if they don't really work together? Like, they might work together for like a big event, but otherwise they're all doing their separate thing. Like, Radiant Red is, I don't know, maybe she's back in jail again or something. We haven't seen her in a long time. Radiant Pink is not doing any superhero stuff. She's just getting her clam smashed with another girl in Paris, which, great, but I mean, you're a superhero. Like, maybe help out? I don't know. It bugs me a bit, because it's like, this is a Super Sentai series, but only one of the Sentais are actually ever doing actual superheroing stuff, and all the other characters are just doing their own thing and not really contributing. So it's like, so what's the point of having a group then? This could have just been like a common writer where you just had a single writer at this point. But whatever. So Marshall goes to confront Mothman, and for some reason he thinks that Mothman is a woman, despite the name Mothman, and maybe Mothman is going to be like a demon of some kind or something. But he thinks that Mothman is a woman, and he's trying to come up with like lines that he can use to flirt. But then it turns out that it's not Mothman, it's actually Bludmoon. And yeah, they fight each other. And we do get kind of like a funny moment where Bludmoon bites Marshall, and Marshall is worried that he's going to become a bat werewolf. So he asks Siri, like, what's the werewolf bat monster antidote? And Siri just basically starts listing off a recipe for Chef Jimmy's special gumbo powder. So Marshall's like trying to tell Siri to stop as Siri's just listing off this recipe while he's fighting Bludmoon. And we do have like a moment where he calls Ava, who's now back in Paris. I'm assuming she just finished boning her new girlfriend. And she gets a call from Marshall. And Marshall's being attacked by the werewolf and asking for help. And Ava just gets pissed off. Like, she kisses her girlfriend and then leaves the next room so her girlfriend doesn't have to hear this. And she's just basically telling him to shut up. And I'm like, girl, your buddy is being attacked by a werewolf and having trouble. And all you can think about is your latest conquest. You're a superhero that can portal. Portal over there and help him out. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It frustrates the hell out of me where it's like we have other superheroes and they're not doing anything to help. So we have a moment where the girlfriend gets up and they decide to have more wine and start making out on the couch. And there is kind of like a funny moment where Marshall says, I grabbed him. Like, I got Bludmoon. I just need a tiny favor. I need you to basically send me to New Orleans because that's where Bludmoon is. His house is. So we have like this funny moment where Ava is sexing up her girlfriend as Marshall and Bludmoon are being teleported from Chicago to New Orleans. And we just have like a surprised look on both of their faces as they're being teleported. I was like, okay, that was kind of a funny panel. Like, I did find this moment enjoyable. But yeah, they arrive back in New Orleans through the portal. And that's where we basically lead into the last Rogue Sun, where Bludmoon attacks Marshall, chucks him through a building, and then tries to fly away. And then he comes across Rogue Sun, and then Radiant Black saves him. And then that whole deal that happens, like, we cut to later where Marshall and Dylan arrive at Marshall's house, and they had their talk. Again, this is all what happened in Rogue Sun in the last issue. That's pretty much it. There's like a little spoiler at the end, but I'm not going to reveal that. Because if you want to find out what happens, read it for yourself. But this felt very much like a filler issue. I mean, we did get the whole new religion thing popping up. So that was interesting. But the whole like threat being closer to home, that wasn't really there unless you talk about like his mom thinking that Radiant Black is the Antichrist. I guess that's the threat closer to home. But other than that, like, most of this is kind of just filler. In fact, we even get like a lot of pages that are literally just a copy of the Rogue Sun. I think it's actually just the same exact pages rather than like those moments being redrawn again, but like in Radiant Black style. I think they literally just copy pasted those pages from Rogue Sun into here. So yeah, a lot of filler. I didn't really care for this too much. I think what it is the whole Radiant Pink not helping out other than creating a portal. Like, she's too focused on a relationship rather than doing superhero stuff. And we already had Marshall earlier talking about how he feels like overwhelmed. And that's kind of been a thing where he feels overwhelmed being Radiant Black. On the one hand, there's a bunch of people who think that Radiant Black is evil and the Antichrist and stuff like that. On the other hand, he's constantly bouncing between helping civilians, fighting new villains, and he's just being like just overwhelmed. And all I can think of is, well, why aren't the other Radiants doing anything? I get why Radiant Yellow isn't. Radiant Yellow is like off in his own little world. But Radiant Red, I mean, if she's in prison, Marshall can easily get her out. Radiant Red can easily get out. There's no point in having her be in prison when she can do more good deeds by being out. Radiant Pink is literally doing nothing. She's just chilling on the couch or making out with her new girlfriend while her buddy is being overwhelmed with work and being constantly attacked by people. Which also just begs the question of why is it that people only focus on Radiant Black and not the other Radiants? I get that the whole reason why Radiant Black is painted as the Antichrist is because there are people who survived the other world where Marshall was evil and killed a bunch of people and basically destroyed that world. And then those people there got transported to this world. So I can understand them seeing Marshall as, you know, the big bad villain. But why don't they see the other Radiants as like his fallen angels? Why don't they see the other Radiants as like his minions? It feels like there really is no other Radiants. It's just Radiant Black and that's it. There is no Radiant Yellow, Radiant Red, Radiant Pink. It's just Radiant Black is the only focus, which again, fine, it is called Radiant Black. But if you're going to do a Sentai series, then you should be having the other Sentai characters contributing in some way. I mean, Ava does use the portal to help Marshall out a couple times, but that's all she does. She does like the bare minimum when she could be doing so much more. Why isn't she putting on the suit and going out and fighting crime? Why is it always Marshall that has to do everything? Why doesn't Marshall complain about this? He complains to everyone else about how overwhelmed he is, and yet he doesn't complain to the other Radiants like, hey, you guys have powers too. Get off your asses and help me. I'm being overwhelmed and overburdened by everything. I have to do all the work. I have to fight all these villains. I have to deal with social media. I have to deal with people thinking I'm the Antichrist. I have to deal with fixing all the damages that the Catalyst War created. I have to deal with everything. And all you're focused on is getting some Paris Poontang. Like, help me out here. Like, I kind of want Marshall to stand up for himself a little bit. I don't know. You tell me if I'm just like overblowing this, but it does bug the hell out of me that we have more superheroes. Like, it's a group of superheroes and only one of them is ever doing anything. So yeah, that's Radiant Black issue number 33. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.